So question 7. Here we go. Question 7. A researcher looks at the mean salaries. That's average, right? Mean is average. You know quite well by now. Salaries of male and female electricians and decides, based on the evidence, that there is no difference between the two groups' salaries. The researcher could have made a what? And basically, it wants type 1, type 2 error here. You know, type 1 error or type 2 error. Which one is it? In drawing this conclusion. Which error? Well, here they are up here, type 1, type 2. But again, that's going to mean nothing to you unless you write out the null, and which begins with a claim. So remember, the first thing on a hypothesis test is to write the claim. What's being claimed? It's hard to tell. Well, here, let's write out the HO. Let's write out the H1. You know the HO is always equal, right? Always. HO is always equals. So the H1 is going to be greater, maybe one group's greater or one group's less. I don't know which one. It doesn't really matter. That's all the information we need. We don't even need to know the number. If you just know HO is always equal, okay? And then what did the researcher conclude? No difference. In other words, the conclusion was equals, right? No difference means equals, right? If they're not different, if the salaries for the men and the women are not different, then they're equal, right? Isn't that what not different? If I said my wife and I's salaries are not different, they are. My wife makes $0, but she does many great things. But I'm just making an example here. Equals. So right, if things are not different, then they are equal. If they are not different, then they are equal. So in other words, they concluded HO, didn't they? Right? That's what the researcher concluded. So he did what? Did he do it? Could he have done a type 1 error? Where you reject the null when it was true? Could that have happened? Could that be what happened? Right? Could he have made a type 1 error? What does type 1 error say? You rejected the null. Did he reject the null? No. Right? He kept it. He kept the null, right? Because he went with the equals. Are you seeing that? I'm a little nervous you're not seeing that because I'm answering all the questions. I'm getting a lot of silence. I'm glad to answer them, but I just want to make sure I'm helping you. So no way he could have made a type 1 error. He could have made a type 2, failed to reject the null. That's what he did. He kept the null. He failed to reject the null. So maybe he failed to reject the null when it was actually false. For sure, he did fail to reject the null. He kept the null, right? He concluded no difference, meaning equals. He kept the null. The null is always equals. He concluded no different, meaning he concluded equals. He kept the null. So he failed to reject the null. So he could have made a type 2 error. He definitely could not have made a type 1 error. You only make a type 1 error when you reject the null. He did not reject the null. See how we know that? He concluded no difference. He concluded equals. That's always the null. He kept the null. He failed to reject the null. So he might have made a type 2 error. A type 2 error is possible in this situation. A type 1 error is not possible in this situation.